She smiled when I told her I'd be gone for the weekend. That smile, it wasn't sadness, it was relief. That was the first time something in my chest cracked. I kissed her on the forehead, grabbed my bag, and said, "Don't wait up for my call." She nodded, eyes soft, pretending to care, but her phone buzzed the moment I stepped outside. I walked down the street, heart pounding. The truth wasn't waiting in another city. It was waiting right here, behind the walls of the home we'd built together. That night, I pretended to leave town. But what I found out about my wife, and her boss, destroyed everything I thought love meant. The plan was simple. I told her I had to travel for work, a client meeting out of town. She believed it instantly, or maybe she just wanted to. I left in the morning, suitcase packed, kissed her goodbye. I even let her drop me off at the station. She waved from the car window, and I waved back, the perfect husband and wife scene. But the moment her car disappeared into traffic, I didn't board the train. I walked back through the side exit, heart racing, every instinct screaming that I was about to uncover something I didn't want to know. I'd felt it for months. The subtle distance. The late nights, the new perfume she wore, one that I didn't buy. The quiet smile when she texted someone and tilted her phone away. I'd convinced myself it was nothing. But love has a cruel way of whispering the truth when you least want to hear it. I waited until evening, parked 2 blocks away from our home. The lights were on. She was supposed to be alone. I watched for a while, pretending I was brave enough to see what I already knew. Every few minutes, I'd whisper, "It's nothing, maybe her friend came over." But deep down, I already hated the man I was about to meet. I crept closer. The window in the living room was slightly open. The curtains moved with the wind, just enough to let me peek through. She was there. Hair down, wearing the dress I once said made her look like sunrise, soft, warm, impossible to forget. And then, he appeared. Her boss. The one she'd always talked about. The mentor, the hard-working, inspiring man. He wasn't supposed to be standing that close. He wasn't supposed to touch her face like that. And she wasn't supposed to let him. I froze. Every muscle in my body tensed. Her laughter echoed in my head like broken glass. The sound I used to live for, now it cut through me. He leaned in, whispered something in her ear. She smiled, the same smile she used to give me when we first met. I wanted to look away. But I couldn't. It was like watching the end of a dream you'd spent your whole life believing was real. I don't remember how long I stood there. My hands were shaking, my chest felt like it was collapsing. The thought that kept looping in my mind was, she planned this. Because she knew I was gone. Because she wanted to be free when I wasn't around. And I had handed her that freedom. I took out my phone and hit record. Not because I wanted revenge, not yet, but because I knew that one day, I'd need proof that I wasn't crazy. Their laughter faded into the distance as they moved toward the bedroom. That was when I turned away. My body refused to take another step closer. The woman I loved wasn't in that room anymore. She was gone long before tonight, I just hadn't noticed the goodbye. I drove aimlessly for hours after that. Through empty streets, past diners we used to visit, past the park where she'd once held my hand and said, "You're my forever." Every memory now felt like a lie written in permanent ink. I parked by the old bridge where I first told her I loved her. The water below shimmered under the streetlights, calm, like it didn't care about human pain. And in that stillness, I thought, maybe this is how love ends. Not with a scream, not with a fight, but with quiet realization that the person beside you is already gone. By morning, I had a plan. I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. Confrontation would give her control, she'd cry, deny, twist it, maybe even blame me. No. I wanted her to feel what I felt, confusion, doubt, fear. So, I came home the next evening, pretending everything was normal. She greeted me at the door, pretending the same. Her acting was good, but not good enough. She said, "How was your trip?" And I smiled. Good. Productive. Missed you, though. The look in her eyes faltered for just a second. Guilt flickered like a dying light bulb. Then she forced a smile. Missed you too. That was the moment I decided. I wouldn't leave her. I'd stay, and let her destroy herself with her own guilt. Over the next few days, I changed everything, quietly. I became kinder. More attentive. I cooked her favorite meals, left little notes, reminded her of memories she was trying to bury. At first, she loved it. Then, she started to panic. She didn't know what I'd seen. Did I know? Did I suspect? Every time our eyes met, I could see the question trembling behind her smile. She'd ask, "You're acting different, is everything okay?" And I'd reply, "Better than ever." That's when I realized, sometimes, silence is the loudest revenge. Because it lets their guilt do the talking. 2 weeks later, she mentioned she'd be working late again. My stomach turned. The same lie, same tone. So, I followed her. Her car drove to a hotel on the edge of town, not the office. I waited outside, watching the lights flicker through the curtains of room 207. But this time, I didn't go in. I didn't need to. I'd already seen enough. Instead, I texted her. Hope work's going well. Don't stay too late. Love you. She didn't reply for 3 hours. When she did, it was just. Heading home now. The heart emoji made me laugh. It was the cruelest joke she could have sent. That night, I started writing a letter, not to her, but to myself. To remind me that I wasn't crazy. That love shouldn't feel like self-destruction. You gave her everything. She gave you a lesson. You wanted truth, and she gave you a performance. Remember this pain, because it will save you from ever loving the wrong person again. When I was done, I folded the letter, placed it in her drawer, where she'd find it someday. Not now. Not yet. I wanted her to live with the tension of never knowing what I knew. One night, while she slept beside me, her phone buzzed. I turned it over. It was him again, her boss. But this time, the message wasn't what I expected. We need to stop. He's going to find out. He's smarter than you think. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I looked at her, peacefully asleep, unaware that everything was crumbling. And for the first time, I smiled. Because she wasn't just cheating on me anymore. She was losing control. That was when I decided how this story would end, not with shouting, not with revenge, but with something far worse. Something only she would understand. She thought I didn't know. That's what made it easier for her to sleep beside me every night, breathing softly, dreaming peacefully, while I lay awake beside her, staring at the ceiling. But the truth had become my quiet companion. It didn't scream or burn anymore. It whispered. It waited. I'd learned something in those nights of silence. When someone betrays you, the worst thing you can do isn't to leave. It's to stay, and let them destroy themselves with every lie they tell. A few days later, I saw him again, her boss. He came to our house unexpectedly, pretending it was a work visit. He smiled too much, avoided eye contact too quickly. While she went to make coffee, he pulled me aside. He whispered, "You know, don't you?" I didn't answer. Just looked at him. He continued, "I told her this was a mistake. She said you'd never find out." His words felt heavy, not because they hurt, but because they confirmed what I already knew. She wasn't in love with him. She was chasing something else, maybe excitement, maybe validation, maybe just a moment to feel wanted. But what she didn't realize was, every secret comes with an expiration date. And hers was almost up. Her birthday came a week later. I planned everything perfectly, dinner at her favorite restaurant, candles, a surprise box waiting at home. She was glowing that night, laughing, acting like the woman I used to know. Maybe she thought I'd finally stopped suspecting. After dinner, I handed her a small box wrapped in silver paper. Her eyes lit up as she opened it. Inside was a key, a single golden key on a chain. She frowned. "What's this for?" I smiled. "Something special. You'll see." She didn't know that key opened the drawer in my office, the one where I kept the flash drive containing every message, every photo, every piece of evidence of her affair. The gift wasn't a trap. It was a choice. If she ever opened that drawer, it would mean she wanted the truth, and was ready to face it. If she didn't, it meant she'd keep living her lie. Either way, I'd already won. One evening, she sat beside me on the couch, her hands trembling slightly. "Can I tell you something?" she said. I looked up from my book. "Of course." She hesitated, eyes darting to the floor. But then, her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, and whatever she wanted to say disappeared behind a nervous laugh. "Never mind," she whispered. That was her moment. Her chance to confess. And she let it slip away. Sometimes, the silence between two people says more than a confession ever could. Weeks passed. Her boss suddenly quit the company. Rumor was, he'd left town after his wife found out about someone. I never asked questions. But she grew distant. Every night, I'd find her staring into space, guilt shadowing her face like a storm she couldn't escape. I didn't comfort her. I didn't confront her. I just let her drown quietly in the ocean she created. One night, she fell asleep on the couch. Her phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't from him. It was from his wife. "I know everything. I thought you should know that he's gone. Maybe you both got what you wanted." I stared at the message for a long time. Gone. I checked the local news later that night. There'd been a car accident on the highway. Her boss hadn't survived. I didn't tell her. Not yet. Because deep down, I wanted her to find out the same way I found out, unexpectedly, cruelly, and too late to fix anything. A few days later, she saw it on TV. The anchor said his name, showed his photo, and she froze. Her glass slipped from her hand and shattered on the floor. She just stood there, eyes wide, mouth open, whispering his name like it was a prayer that had lost its God. I watched her fall apart, quietly, gracefully, tragically. And for a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. That night, while she slept, tears still drying on her cheeks, I took the letter I'd written weeks ago and placed it on her nightstand. The same letter that began with, "You gave her everything." But this time, I added something new at the bottom. "I know. I saw. And I stayed, not to punish you, but to remind you what guilt feels like when love becomes a mirror." When she woke up, she found it. I didn't stay to watch her read it. I packed a small bag, walked out quietly, and closed the door behind me. 6 months passed. New city. New job. New life. But some nights, I'd still wake up thinking I heard her voice. One evening, I got an envelope in the mail, no return address. Inside was that golden key I'd given her. Along with a note in her handwriting. I opened the drawer. "You were right. I never loved him, I just stopped loving myself. I hope one day, you'll forgive the version of me who didn't deserve you." I sat there for a long time, staring at that key, the same one that had once symbolized control, now symbolizing closure. And for the first time in months, I felt peace. Because I realized, I didn't need revenge anymore. She was already living it every day, inside her own heart. Love doesn't always die when someone cheats. Sometimes, it lingers like smoke, painful, visible, impossible to hold. I'd spent months wanting her to feel the pain she caused me. But in the end, I learned something unexpected. Revenge doesn't heal you. Forgiveness does, even if it's the kind you never say out loud. So, when I looked at that key one last time, I didn't throw it away. I hung it on my wall, a reminder that sometimes, the quietest revenge is moving on while they're still trapped in yesterday. A week later, I got another letter. This time, from the law firm that handled her company's affairs. It said she'd resigned and left a note for me in her file. If he ever asks why I left, tell him I finally used the key. Tell him I understood. I smiled when I read that. Because that was the real twist. I hadn't left to hurt her. I'd left to give her a chance to find herself again, even if it took losing me to do it. And maybe, just maybe, that was the kindest revenge of all.